What a lovely fall morning. First up on the plate, these couple walnut right here. There's another good one right there. That's a really good tree. Those are refreshing to still find those. Another good one out there. There's some more down through here. Dad's gonna start up here above me, cutting some chinkapin. He went up there, we left Kevin to come down here, and Kevin messaged me, said he lost his key to his Skidders. So Dad had to run up one of my extra keys. But I'm gonna go ahead and get this peach on the ground. Been trying to clear out around the stump here because we've got an old fence. See the wire right here. It never fails. People like to, like, hey, a super good tree, let's ruin it with a fence. But of course, when they were putting the fence in, they probably weren't thinking of the trees. So, and honestly, when they put the fence in, this tree probably wasn't nothing. There's something about timber that is full of hedge, locust, hackberry for growing these good walnut trees. These are just good, tall, uniform trees. And you get to the top just like this one, she gets a little squirrely. You can make the corner trim in your house with that piece of wood up there. But for the most part, these are good tall walnut trees, clean. Again, nothing just buster big, but for a thinning we did 13 years ago, I'm pretty impressed with the size of these. The quality's phenomenal. But the volume of them is just out of this world as well. There's just, I can't get over how many trees. I think I've already cut 34, 35 trees this morning. It's just now 10 o'clock. Working down this draw here. And it's pretty slow going cutting walnut. By the time you bore out everything, we can't drop it near as fast as we do the oak. And we've cut a few chinkapin oak. We're kind of, I got one here behind me to make a good little stave log. Not super big, but it is good and clean for many, many feet. Now this whole valley up through here runs probably 15 miles southeast of here, and it goes another 5 or 6 miles, maybe 7, maybe 8, I don't know, as the crow flies. But there's just a valley through here. And about this time last year, we were cutting a big job south of here, about 1.5 miles, big job of walnut, kind of off the same valley or drainage system. This drainage system through here, it's composed of 3 or 4 different valleys and draws and dips and gullies and all that good stuff, topography type thing. It's just composed of a good little vein of walnut that runs through here. And over the years, even my last 20, 21 years of logging full time, I've cut a tremendous amount of timber out of this valley system with my dad. Now in the 63 or 64 years my dad's been logging, he has cut a multitude of timber off this valley system. It's crazy. And just like this, we cut this 13 years ago, and I can't get over how some of these trees have grown. There's something about this. The drainage is right. They grow good through here. This walnut timber always likes growing in this hedge and locust and hackberry. Anytime I'm looking at timber and I see a draw that's got hedge, locust, and hackberry in it, kind of woolly and nasty, I'm going for a walk because there's a good chance there might be some good timber in that draw. After lunch here, we're over here on the north side of the farm. We're kind of jumping around a little bit. There's just a small concentration of trees over here. There's some out in that timber. Of course, Kevin just struck that one off. I cut up here. I got this one. I got 2 here. Dad and I talked about it before we went to eat lunch. We just figured we'd come over here to get these done, call it a day. We've all got some things to do. I've got timber to look at and logs to haul this evening, so as long as I cut 50 a day, I feel like I'm doing pretty good. So we're easily gonna go over the 50 mark. We're over 50 right now. So it's been a good day all in all. Anyway, this thing here, this is pretty unique. This would be a really, really neat figured piece of stump here. Of course, you can see it's almost kind of, I don't really want to call it a burl, but it's got a lot of figure, this big old gnarly thing. Of course, that there looks like there might be a critter living under there. Hopefully this thing cuts pretty good. It's a big tree. We're gonna put it right out there. I'll tell Kevin that we might as well just fall this one. We'll cut those tops up. But this is a good place for him to get some experience running the skidder. Good place to practice. The tree didn't cut very good. I don't know how bad. There's not much holding it. I'm just going to have Kevin push it over. Maybe. There he goes. Have a powwow with the chief. Get our plan of attack figured out. Again, Kevin's still learning the skidder, so he's not super speedy, but you'll never get any better if you don't practice. Now, one thing my friends and acquaintances and past acquaintances always seem to know about me or comment about me is I have a kind of a weird thing about dates and timelines. So, that being said, October of 2002, beginning of my senior year of high school, this fence you see here, this north property line, they dozed out about a mile strip through here, and Dad and I cut the timber out, cut the logs out behind the dozer, which is a pretty common practice. Used to be a lot more common. We still do some work like that, not near like we used to. So that was in 2002, and then Dad bought a few good trees out of this big timber over here where we were this morning. Let's fast forward to October 9th of 2009. That's when we started cutting the walnut on the south end of this farm. And now let's go to October of 2022. We're here cutting all this timber again. So this farm and us seem to have a thing about October, which October is my favorite month of the year. Statistically, it's one of our most busy and one of our best months of the year as far as walnut production. I can't really answer that as why, but it just seems like October we really kick the timber out, much like we're doing now. Kevin's going to go ahead and take that drag back to the deck. It's a long drag, but we're trying to keep everything kind of centralized. And while he's doing that, I'm going to wrestle this old toad down. Dad's on the north side of this patch of brush right here, and then I'm going to make my way into that patch of brush cutting walnut. Got some trees that are hung up, which is not uncommon. These walnut, when they get in these groves of hedge and locusts, they hang up pretty easy because there's not a lot of give to these hedge trees. Nasty old wood. And like on some of these logs, as good as they are, hanging up's not a bad thing. timber. Harry wouldn't sell it to anybody but Dad. Dad's the only person to ever cut timber off this farm. Even before Harry was the owner, Harry's had an in-law that owned it. Dad was the only person to cut it off when Junior had it, Harry's in-law. It means a lot to have that kind of trust and loyalty and customers and people you work with, good people in the community. We don't cut this timber super small. Like I said, I'm already looking forward to coming back in a few years and doing it again. Well, if you look out through here, there's several walnut trees that are probably big enough to go right now. But that's not what we're looking for, and I know that's not what Harry's looking for. We'll get them down the road on the next harvest. We've just been running through the timber this morning. I'm unfortunately using my 500i, which most of you know I despise of. I think they're terrible chainsaws. Just my opinion. Just me. Hard leaning walnut here. It looks like there's been a storm come through at some time, I'm guessing. Saturated soil, some strong winds. It's kind of uprooted it a little bit. Got a hard lean over here. Looks like there might even be a little critter living in there. He's about to get a skylight. I don't know how the tree's going to cut. I don't think it'll cut bad. That right there is not enough to make me think it's going to cut terrible. It's got a little boo-boo right here on it, but that's nothing too terrible. All in all, pretty good log. Got a little bit of a crook in it up here. I'm going to put a hinge in this tree to try to get it to come down without just ripping it all to pieces. These hard leaners are always a little tricky, especially with walnut, because walnut's so brittle. With oak, you've got a lot of leeway. With walnut, you do not. There's not a lot of room for error here. So I'm going to try to set this phone down somewhere, because I don't have my tripod with me. I think I can sit in this tree right here and do some awesome high quality filming. Okay, now this tree is off, but the strength of that little bitty chinkapin oak right there is holding it up, which is not a bad thing at all. Now we can come up here with the grapple, pick up on it, pull it right down at a slow pace, not have to worry about busting it. That actually worked out pretty good, although I think we would have been all right. It's not a pretty cut. They rarely are in dealing with things like this when you got hard leaners, partial sides uprooted and exposed. The main thing is just to try to, like I said, bring it down without busting it or busting yourself. You'll notice my cuts are a little uneven there, which on these butts, as flared as they are, that's not such a big deal, as long as we're not really tapering them down like a pencil, which we'll round that off when we get it out to the log deck anyway, and it'll look just like another log that came out of the timber. You won't even tell that it was a hard leaner here that I cut into a little wonky, but it's there. I was hoping we'd get a little bit of fall action in the video, but you guys will just have to use your imagination. Okay, this is that tree that was hanging into the other one. Like I said, we just picked up on it with a grapple like so. We'll just lightly kind of pull it out here, come out of the grapple. All right, take two. So we'll just gently pull it up here, like so. There we go. Lower it down. I know you can't see nothing out that window. It's dirty and dusty. But it's on the ground, so now we'll go ahead and work it up. Should be dragging logs, but we're going to look at this tree real quick. So this is it right here. You can see my hinges over here. We had just a little wood here on the back side holding it, but that's, like I said, it's got a little rot spot, which we've seen that from that varmint hole. I'm guessing that's probably what was getting ready to take effect there. So we got this tree in the nick of time. Now, as I said, that stump's not the prettiest, but the lean considered, I'll take it. We'll still chalk it up with the wind because we'll come through here. We'll round all this off. We'll make that look pretty when we're done. Heck of a tree. A lot of footage there.